Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to the Liverpool Improvisation Festival interviews. Joining me now on the line is Stephen Longstaffe.
Hello.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi there.
I'm excited. This is the first interview where I've actually seen some of your show on a video. So I'm very excited to talk about it and ask you lots of questions about how you created it and what show you're bringing. But before we get into that, the first question that I always open with is who your improv ancestors are. Where does your specific branch of improvisation come from? Where did you learn, and what are you bringing with you to Liverpool?
I guess that my improv ancestor is a guy called David Ash, who more than 20 years ago, I live in a very small town in the northwest of England, about 50,000 people, and he was just mad into improvisation. And we worked in the same place. And he just came to me one day and said, would you like to just start playing some games? So we played loads and loads of short form. And so I did that for ages. And I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't met David. So he's the only begetter, really. You know, he's the kind of ancestor in that sense.
Wow.
And then I had to give it up then. So there's kind of second or third begetters. One of them would be Jess. Mm-hmm. In Glossop, who I used to improvise with in Lancaster. Mm-hmm. And then 15 years later, I got in touch with her and said, look, I haven't done it for 15 years. Can I sit in? And she let me sit in. And the other one is Mark Smith, mm-hmm. who I was moaning with a friend of mine that I was kind of stuck in Lancaster and there was nobody to play with. And he said, well, you are retired now. You don't have to get up in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I signed up for a long form course that Mark was running in Liverpool, which is about an hour and a half away from home. And then that led to being cast in an ensemble for LIF 24, where we did the improvised wake called Our Wake.
Oh, beautiful. I've heard about that show. And so what a journey to where you are now. I've never heard of someone with that particular story of starting just with an individual coming to them being like, you are going to be great at this. Come join me.
Yeah, it's just small town life for you, you know?
That's beautiful. Well, all right, now that we've gone to where you're coming from, I'm curious about what you're bringing. So what show are you bringing to Liverpool Festival?
My show is called Shakespeare on the Spot. And there's a kind of full show version, which is about an hour long. But I'll be doing it as part of a triple bill right at the beginning. So I'll be doing a kind of cut down version of it. But as it's just playing games, it's just a series of short form Shakespeare games, mm-hmm. solo Shakespeare games, then that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I'm very curious about how you built those games and how you created the show.
It didn't start off as an improv show. A guy I know, he was running a fringe and he decided to start running workshops so that local people could just get up on their feet and do the fringe. And so I went along to that and I thought, oh, well, what can I do? I don't know how to do anything. This was before I'd really got back into performance. I had to give it up for about 15 years. And I thought I'll do a terribly serious show about bereavement. And I had a few of those. Mm-hmm. And then I was speaking to a friend of mine about it and she thought all the funny bits were sad and all the sad bits were funny. And I was outraged by her getting it so wrong. And then I thought, well, it's probably not a good idea to try and make a show where I'm going to be getting annoyed with the audience. Mm-hmm. I thought, what the hell can I do? I thought, I think I can probably do iambic pentameter. And I could.
Yeah.
I'd done a little bit during lockdown. The May Days ran some online Shakespeare improvisation classes. Mm-hmm. So I'd done a little bit. And I thought, well, I'll do that. And it started off as a fringe show. So I would do a monologue. I would do a last poor Yorick. And then I would get an object from the audience. So then it would be, whose banana is this? That banana is Yorick's. And I would improvise a version of that speech, but after having done the actual speech. And then I got to a fringe and realized that, you know, well, is it improvisation? Well, there's a bit. And is it comedy? Well, there's a bit. And is it theatre? Well, there's a bit. And so last year it kind of got turned into a comedy show, comedy improv show. So I ditched all the serious stuff. There's only so many times you can go to an improv guest night and watch people going, this is actually a 6-minute setup for a 3-minute routine. Why is he doing these soliloquies? So I thought, well, so that's how I got to it. And I just I thought about ways of combining monologues. So doing monologues to make people laugh. How are you going to do that? You take suggestions from the audience, but you do it in a kind of at least Shakespeare sounding way. And then it's all about the incongruity. It's all about it sounding in a way that might be Shakespeare's, and yet you are talking just of jam and of squirrels. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, when I was listening to you, I could really hear the meter in each of the lines when I was watching the show. It's beautiful, and I was wondering how you went about learning that, and what sort of tricks of language, how you built up the skill set that you show in the show.
Well, I was a university lecturer for 30 years, so I had to teach people meter. So because I taught people sort of early modern stuff. So I taught people, sonnets and what have you. And the big thing that got me into poetry eventually was realizing it wasn't just a bunch of stupid ideas. It had a music to it. And so I'd got ages of trying to find the beat in things and trying to explain to people why it didn't matter if it was slightly off and all of this stuff. So I kind of knew I could speak in a beat. And so that's kind of where it came from, really. And the actual show, I don't do what a lot of Shakespeare improvisers do. I don't necessarily reach for similes too much. I don't reach for figurative language too much because it's hard enough keeping the thing rolling if it's just you. So I kind of went, well, the beat makes it sound like it's Shakespeare, even if the content isn't. And that's probably a better way to go. And also, it brings it into kind of spoken word territory almost,
Yeah, it's just poetry at that point. Yeah. I was also fascinated by I'd never seen a show that mixed together scripted text and improvised text in quite the way that your show does. How did you figure that out? And had you seen that before in other shows, or was this just your own unique brand of creation?
Yeah, I mean, I started working on the show before I'd seen any Shakespeare improv, apart from doing the class with the Jennifers. And then as I was just kind of finalizing it, I got to the Willow Globe in Wales, and I got to see the School of Night. And I just thought, and they're still my favorite improvisation group ever. I mean, I just love them to bits. And I thought they can do all of that, but they're also incredibly playful and mischievous. And that made it even more attractive to me. I thought, well, yeah, because I don't actually want to. When it started off, it was serious, but that was because I'd just come out of being an educator for 30 years, and I thought it had to have a point. And actually, the point is just to be silly and hope that people like watching you being silly. And it's a great liberation because you've got a frame. It's a genre show. You've got a frame, but at the same time, people expect people put up with any kind of stupidity from Shakespeare because there's such a huge fantasy element to it. The plots are ridiculous, etc.
Yeah, how do you keep the emotional commitment there if you get the suggestion of an audience of something really, really silly? How do you approach that?
Yeah, I think there's a kind of, I like deadpan comedy. I like the kind of guy who tells a joke and you sort of think 15 seconds later, wait a minute, that was a punchline. So I quite like that. I think I got that from my dad. That was his style. He was very dry wit. And it was kind of like time lapse stuff, time lapse humor, and I like that, and I like playing with being serious. It's a real temptation sometimes to go into clown and to just go, something's made somebody laugh, great, I'll do more of that, and I love having a bit of clown in the show, but it would kill the commitment you need to the verse, really. I think you need to. for them to work as you being put into trouble by the audience, you can only pull that ripcord of oh well, this is stupid. You can only do that like once.
Hmm.
You know? So and after that, it's kind of like, well, why is he doing it if he can't do it?
Hmm.
So the great thing about solo shows, you can control the pace of it.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy slowing things down. I'm quite happy giving myself room to perform or to act while my brain is just going, you know. So that's the kind of way, really. That's the way I treat it. But equally, if somebody gives me a brilliant suggestion, then I will let that land sometimes. If I'm enjoying something landing, then why not show an audience that, this is just really amusing, you know.
Yeah, it was very clear when you could see the joy you were having with each of the suggestions. And like when you're doing a solo show, does it change your relationship to the audience?
Uh, yeah, well, I mean, I'd only ever done, I only did Mark's ensemble show really, and all that short form, like
Hmm.
back in the noughties. So I'm really kind of a tyro, in the sense that I haven't done shed loads of, the kind of way that people get into improv now. I've not done, 4 levels of this and, spent 6 weeks doing a Harold and all of that sort of thing. That structure wasn't there.
Hmm.
Either where I lived when I picked it up or when I started doing it 22 years ago, So, yeah, I don't really have one, I mean, I have a relationship that probably comes from me being a lecturer and
Hmm.
kind of being on my own in front of a class
Yeah.
and how that works. The thing that happened when I had to give up improvisation, I said to myself, well, my teaching is now going to get a lot funnier and a lot more spontaneous. And that's what actually happened. I thought, well, I'm going to enjoy myself in my job a bit more. So it probably comes from that a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, you never know what parts of life you're secretly practicing because life is improvisation.
Sure,
That's very funny.
absolutely. Yeah, so it's a show that's been like 2 years in the making and 35 years in the making, in a sense.
Was there any moment in either making the show or performing the show that's like particularly challenging, or what was the hardest thing you had to overcome to bring the show here?
Uh, I think confidence. I
Hmm.
think uh, getting over the idea that, will anybody want to watch me doing this stuff? It's fairly niche. And kind of what I got from doing fringe shows was that as long as you look, as long as you're good at something,
Hmm.
people don't really care. That's the sort of fringe ethos. I'll go and watch a magician or whatever the hell it is. As long as they look like they put a bit of work in, know what they're doing.
Hmm.
You know.
Then you
So that was my obstacle really, and living a long way away from other improvisers, which is still an obstacle.
yeah, but that's the beauty of the festivals is that there's this one moment where you can work on something in isolation for a long time, and then suddenly a whole crowd of people in Liverpool will be excited to see what you've been working on.
Let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope so.
I have high hopes for it. I highly recommend that people come see. Is there any the flip side of the challenge? Is there any great joy that you've experienced while working on the show? Something memorable, or in any improvisation?
Yeah, I think there's spontaneity there. If you're surprising yourself, then that's an absolute joy, isn't it? And pulling things off because part of the show. I don't know how much of this will make it to Liverpool, but part of the show is deliberately putting myself in the shit. So I pick suggestions from the audience out of my pocket, and I have to incorporate them straight away.
Uh-huh.
And I look back sometimes and think, well, I basically styled that one out. I didn't actually manage that. So when you do manage it to your own satisfaction, I think, because it's difficult.
Hmm.
You know, if you can pull a couplet out of the air, that's difficult. You know, I mean, I can do if I do sonnets to myself to try and kind of get me in the zone. If I actually manage one, I just feel so cool. So it's within the technical constraints of the show. I think if you've really aced it. Um, and also sometimes you just get lucky. So the last show I did, I was one of the routines was talking about a celebrity on the field of Agincourt,
Hmm.
and the name I pulled out of my pocket was Elton John, but I'd set it up as a couplet, and the first line of the couplet rhymed with John.
The improv gods were
So yeah, I
smiling.
mean, the audience liked it, but I liked it even more.
Yeah.
I love that. That was cool.
That's the leaping and not knowing where you're going to land.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's incredible. Is there, I'm wondering, you've talked specifically about this unique journey that you've been on to where you are today in improvising. Do you feel like that gives any like special qualities to the way that you improvise, or anything very unique about your perspective on improvisation?
Uh, I guess so because I haven't been taught it in the way that a lot of people are. It's very sort of bottom up my experience. I think compared to a lot of people, and also I'm so much older than a lot of folks as well. So that kind of life experience, I think, is
Hmm.
also part of it. I mean, you do see older improvisers, but they're generally absolutely brilliant improvisers because they've been doing it like 30 or 40 years, not some guy who's just kind of picked it up again, you know? So, I think I've forgotten the question. Was that
Yeah, well,
related
it
to the
was
question
about,
in any way?
yeah, yeah, and any answer was about what sort of what's special about, yeah, like what did it feel like to come and do a wake at LIF 2024?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, I loved working with the people in the show because one of the things about improvising in a small town is it's quite difficult to get a team together where everybody is on the same kind of page, on the same level. And everybody in a way was just like really talented. And so that was just such a great feeling. And also, I'd been to Lift 23, so I'd been to all of them. And I've had a kind of ticket for the whole festival. So I'd been to Lift 23, and then I kind of walked behind the door and went backstage for Lift 24. And that was just such a gorgeous feeling, you know. And the people we'd all been working together so hard and to actually go out there in front of an audience, a sellout audience, thanks to Liv,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to the first outing for the show being, upstairs in a pub and there's like 25 people there and five of them are only there because they can't get a seat downstairs and, that kind of vibe. So
Hmm.
it was just absolutely wonderful. And also it's so great to be in a place where everybody just loves improvisation.
Yeah.
Everybody's there for the whole thing. That's one of the things I like about LIF, I think sets it apart from some of the other ones I've been to is just the eclecticism of the bill. You know,
Yeah.
when I tell people some of the shows I've seen at LIF and then people going, "What? They did that?" You
Is
know?
there any favorite past show that you've seen at LIF where that absolutely blew your mind?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was thinking about it, but bizarrely, my most memorable show I can't remember anything about really, and it was a 4-hour improv by a dancer called Rowena Gander, who I think was on in 24 with us. And I got the ticket for the whole festival,
Hmm.
and I thought, well, I'll just stick my nose in, and then I'll go to the bar. And I was there the full 4 hours. And it was the other thing that I thought the other reason I thought I wouldn't be there is it was actually one of the things she does is she does pole.
Hmm.
So I was thinking, well, how, okay, there's obviously limits to what you can do with pole or pole dancing or whatever you want to call it. And there weren't, she was just absolutely mesmerizing. And I've never seen anything like that anywhere else. She comes out of it I think out of performance art as well. And she's done stuff with Marina Abramovich, I think, so
Whoa.
but that's just a lift, you know.
Yeah.
That's not just kind of, hey, we're going to play some short form games. This one's called Four Square, that sort of thing. It's like my mind was blown, it was absolutely blown. And I could not believe that I'd sat there for 4 hours. It was absolutely amazing. And the virtuosity that you see, people who've been playing for ages. Trev Fleming did a great show. 40, he called it 42, and he did 42 1-minute segments.
Whoa.
Oh,
Solo?
he had people playing with him.
He had people playing with him, but he was
Yeah,
always on.
yeah, yeah. I can't remember how they generated the suggestions now. I think somebody read the suggestion. He was just absolutely awesome. He was a machine. But it was really great. It was really entertaining, you know. So those two shows really kind of sum up LIF for me. You know, that's the range that I was
Yeah.
just, and it's just my local festival.
Yeah. Well, however you stumble across it, once you know, you know. It's so
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, that's the thing I really really like about it is that
yeah.
it's really open to new stuff and boundary crossing stuff.
Hmm.
You know. So I've got no idea who's on this year, but it's just going to be great.
Yeah. Are you most excited to see shows, to take workshops, to meet people, to play, perform yourself?
Yeah, all of the above, really. You know, I mean, I cannot believe I've got into my favorite festival as a solo act. I still can't believe it. So that is so cool, you know.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I know a lot of people now. So when I first went to LIF, I didn't know anybody, and I've been playing around in Liverpool, so I know a lot of Liverpool folks, you know, that kind of thing. So it's just like being on a cruise or something. You know, you're all in this little boat together. And I didn't I see you at, you know, so the social side, the work I'm going to see, I'm just like really looking forward to that. I've done some really stupid workshops, which were great. The last LIF I did one which the involved a sketch where the payoff was an improvisation where the payoff was somebody on stage had to get a pie in the face. And that I didn't realize until it happened to me. That was one of my life goals, you know.
An
I
actual
want to get,
pie?
yeah, well, you know, a shaving foam pie,
Yeah.
but still, you know. And it was just, you know, so crazy, you know. So the workshops can be cool.
Hmm.
There's, you know, the whole thing. It's just brilliant, I think. I mean, you know, I would be there with the ticket for the whole weekend, whether I was performing, whether I was not, you know. It's great.
Oh, well, I cannot wait to see. Like, I'm similarly excited, and I hope that anyone who's listening is getting excited to come to Live 2026. I have a couple more questions that I wanted to ask you before we end. One of them is about learning improv and improv advice. Is there any really memorable advice you've gotten at any point, or where you stuck with you, or anything someone said, even if it wasn't advice?
Yeah, so I thought about this, and this is a kind of piece of advice which also works for improv. But when I was studying from a PhD, I didn't think I'd get work in a university, so I was studying to train to be a teacher, and I went and observed somebody teaching a lesson, and he was fantastic. And at the end of it, I went, "Oh, what's the secret? What's the secret?" And he said, "Don't try and pretend to be something you're not."
Hmm.
And I thought about that, and that served me really, really well as an educator, because I would sort of see stuff other people were doing and think, oh, I need to do that really, because and it wouldn't work for me.
Hmm.
And the students would go, no, no, it doesn't work for you. Yeah, just go back to doing the other thing. And I think that works for improv as well. You know, improvisation is not don't be another character, but don't hide.
Yeah.
Uh, don't It won't work,
Hmm.
you know, if you hide. You have to be open to showing all the different sides of yourself
Hmm.
for it to work to the people you're playing with and also to the audience. So bizarrely, that's the piece of advice I would defend. Don't try and pretend to be something you're not.
Don't you?
I
That's
bet
a.
it comes out a clown too, you know, that they like you anyway,
Hmm.
you know.
Ooh. That's another question. It's not one of the questions I had planned, but you've mentioned clown now multiple times, and I have to
Yeah.
ask what your relationship is to it.
Well, the thing that got me back into performance, I mean, I did a weekend with Spy Monkey, and it was just after my mum had died, and I just completely crashed and burned, couldn't handle it
Hmm.
at
Yeah.
all. And then I did a couple hundred hours in Manchester with absolutely crazy pair called Performers Playground, who are a husband and wife team, and they come out of the sort of Goliath, John Wright,
Hmm.
that sort of tradition, and we just started off by by doing le jeu, by just playing games and throwing things at each other and being silly. And that was my training into performance. I didn't think of myself as an improviser at that point. And so I did quite a bit of clown with them, and I've done quite a bit since then. And even though I don't think I'm a kind of clown in the sense that I can go on and just connect with an audience without words, I need words to do it. But it keeps me in touch with my pleasure. I've got a couple of clown things booked in, just workshops, and it's just because you have to really, really enjoy what you're doing. Find your pleasure. And that's a kind of, I'm so old, I don't want to hang around. I want my pleasure all the time. And clown is great for that, You have to grow a skin, I think, and you have to flop and not just flop and you pick yourself up, but flop and not pick yourself up. I think you have to go through that. But like some other things, it's not as bad as you think it's going to be, and the pleasure of it is just so ridiculous. It's just so fresh. So yeah, I like to feel whatever I do, there's going to be a bit of clown in there somewhere.
A little bit. That's beautiful. It's like, yeah, theater is such a healing thing and such a powerful. It's hard to split it from yourself. Has it changed the way that you interact with the real world and life as well?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because I mean, both improv and clown really. You have to relate to people, and you have to take them as they are. You have to take the audience as it is. So it's a kind of connection, really. I think you're constantly coming back to the ways you connect with people, and also the ways that you do things which mean you don't connect with people, and that so a scene goes south, and you think, oh, because I had this great scene in my head, and that idiot stood exactly next to me, not moving, couldn't work out my great idea. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, So yeah, it's good for that. I think it's good, and it's lovely to be doing something which is just so organically related to how you are in the world.
Yeah,
I think I know a lot of improvisers who kind of very much feel that the connections that you make when you're improvising strengthen the way you connect to the world. Not therapeutic. It won't get rid of X, Y, Z, but it's just a really good way of building the good stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like you built a lot of great stuff through the show.
I hope so. Who knows?
Yeah,
The next one could be a stinker. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like, especially when I hear you talk about your relationship to the festival, if you're playing in this space that means so much to you in such a warm and welcoming crowd, I think it's going to be beautiful.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
So.
But just to get through the door, that's the thing.
That's the thing. Well, I can't wait I'm so looking forward to seeing this show. I absolutely love Shakespeare. I love improv. I love Shakespearean improv. And I'd never seen people engage with Shakespearean improv the way that you were engaging with it. So it was such a pleasure to watch the videos and be totally surprised by how the form worked.
Thank you very much.
Just like all you were saying of all LIF programming, it is taking people who are doing brand new things and letting them display that on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you feel like you want to work into the interview that you haven't gotten a chance to say yet?
I didn't have a list of things to work into the interview. I'm sorry. I was a bit of an improviser about the whole thing,
That's perfect. Is there then people are listening to this and they're excited, and is there any way that online that they can find out any more about you or see any?
Not, actually.
No, probably not. No, worries.
No.
So they have to come in person to the festival, which is the best way to see you.
If people look on my Instagram, I do post clips there occasionally. So if they wanted to see what it was about, then that's there on what the hell is my Instagram? I don't know. Search for SC Longstaffe with an E on the end, and click on the one that's got a complete idiot, and that'll be me. Wearing a
Okay.
stupid hat, as I recall, stupid woolen hat.
So look for a complete idiot with a stupid woolen hat.
Yep, that narrows it down a bit, you know. I've still got my shirt on as well, so that will also narrow it down.
That will also narrow it down in the Instagram space. Okay, wonderful. Well, I can't wait to see you at the festival. I can't wait to see the show. Thank you so much for coming on to this interview. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yay. Okay. Woohoo. Ah.